Hi, Pep. What's the plan now for the next 2 days? Will you have enough time to prepare the side for Arsenal? Are you going to give them a rest, full training? What's going to go on?
No, we are going to make hiking in the mountains, We're going to do that these 2 days.
Mikel, good to see you.
Hello.
2 big wins following the international break, so you must feel in a good place heading into Sunday.
Yeah, 2 very important wins. Very good feeling about the games as well, and preparing for a big match for Sunday.
Arteta and Pep Guardiola will lock horns once again this weekend as second-placed Arsenal take on 8th-placed Manchester City in a battle for the ages. Arsenal will host Premier League rivals Manchester City at the Emirates Stadium on Sunday, with a lot already at stake for both teams. Pep Guardiola's side haven't started off their campaign on the best foot, with 2 wins and 2 losses, placing them squarely mid-table alongside the likes of Sunderland, Crystal Palace and Newcastle. Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta is sitting in second place, a regular spot for the Gunners, after 3 wins and 1 loss places them within touching distance of league leaders Liverpool. The 2 rivals have had many battles over the years, with City edging Arsenal to the top-flight title on multiple occasions in the past. However, this year is different. Arteta is sitting 5 places above Guardiola, but a win for City would help them climb onto the same points total as the Gunners. The North London side are coming off of a comfortable 2-0 win in the Champions League, while City secured the same result against Napoli during Kevin De Bruyne's homecoming match to the Etihad Stadium on Thursday. Arsenal will kick off against Manchester City on Sunday, September 21st, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. The game will take place at the Gunners' home of the Emirates Stadium in North London. The blockbuster clash will be shown live on Sky Sports in the UK. The game will take precedence across 2 channels, on Sky Sports Main Event and Premier League. Now TV will also be showing live coverage of the game on their streaming service, with a day pass costing £14.99 for customers. Match highlights of Arsenal versus City will be available on the Sky Sports Premier League YouTube channel. Match of the Day will also show the best of the action from the game, alongside other Premier League fixtures from over the weekend. This will begin at 10:30 p.m. on BBC One on Sunday night. Arsenal are still sweating over the availability of Bukayo Saka, Ben White and captain Martin Odegaard, as they all missed the Champions League victory in midweek. Saka hasn't been in the matchday squad since limping off with a hamstring injury against Leeds United. Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz remain out of action for the Gunners, but William Saliba could be in contention to win the starting place back from Christian Mosquera after picking up an ankle issue against Liverpool earlier in the season. Meanwhile, City could have John Stones back on the park after he trained ahead of their 2-0 win over Napoli, but didn't make the squad. Rodri was withdrawn early against the Italians without any injury concern, meaning he will be fresh for the Arsenal trip. Ryan Cherki and Omar Marmoush are both unavailable alongside midfielder Mateo Kovacic, who is still out after undergoing surgery for a heel injury. Manchester City must solve UEFA fixture issue as Arsenal reality clear. Manchester City have lost 5 of their last 7 Premier League games on the back of Champions League matches. They will hope to reverse that trend at Arsenal on Sunday. In the end, Manchester City might have more to thank Napoli's Giovanni Di Lorenzo for than just making their midweek Champions League task a little easier. The Napoli skipper's first half red card at the Etihad on Thursday meant City played much of that tricky contest against 10 men, and once the Blues found the breakthrough early in the second half, the outcome was never in doubt. In the end, Pep Guardiola's side secured a 2-0 victory to ensure a winning start to their Champions League campaign. The nature of the contest also allowed Guardiola to make 5 substitutes. Rodri asked to come off on the hour, but Jeremy Doku was replaced 20 minutes from the end, while Erling Haaland, Tijani Reinders and Josko Gvardiol were afforded an extra 10 minutes rest. That helps, given the nature of this weekend's fixture against Arsenal and the scheduling differences the 2 sides have faced. Arsenal were in action on Tuesday night, away at Athletic Bilbao in an early 5:45 p.m. kickoff. City did not finish their contest with Napoli until around 10 p.m. on Thursday, with the Gunners match ending around 50 hours earlier. Even allowing for the travel time back from Spain, that offers Mikel Arteta's side an advantage that will no doubt irk Guardiola, even if he turned down the chance to talk about it in the lead-up to the contest. Don't go for that side. It is not necessary, he said in his press conference. Regardless of Guardiola's diplomacy, the fact remains that City had just 2 clear days between sizable fixtures, allowing for little time to train or prepare. We are going to go hiking in the mountains, joked Guardiola of the plan. In reality, City will have rested and recovered with a view to going again at the Emirates, with the chance to draw level with Arsenal on points in the Premier League table and cap a perfect week with 3 significant victories. To do so, they will have to buck a recent trend of struggles when it comes to league games on the back of European nights. City have been beaten in 5 of their last 7 fixtures immediately after a Champions League contest, including the 5-1 thrashing at Arsenal last season. The quality of opposition must be taken into account with that statistic, with 2 of those 5 defeats coming against Liverpool on top of the reverse to the Gunners. But it remains a trend that Guardiola will hope to prevent from continuing. 2 games in 72 hours will not help, but City's schedule for the remainder of the Champions League phase is kinder, unless they are thrown a curveball by the Premier League fixture makers on the back of a long trip north of the Arctic Circle to take on Bodo Glimt in January. As Guardiola surmised in February ahead of the European tie with Real Madrid, the schedule is what it is. The Blues boss will hope it doesn't cost his side in the capital on Sunday. Pep Guardiola sends clear title message to Manchester City players ahead of Arsenal, I know. Manchester City have had an indifferent start to the Premier League season, but could turn a corner against Arsenal this weekend. Pep Guardiola has challenged his new crop of Manchester City stars to prove they can be a machine like his previous title-winning sides. The Catalan has won 6 league titles at the Etihad, but City slumped to 3rd last season and have had an indifferent start to this campaign with 2 wins and 2 defeats domestically. There have been signs of promise this week, with a 3-0 Manchester derby success, followed by a 2-0 win against Napoli. They face a litmus test for their ambitions on Sunday, with a trip to face Arsenal at the Emirates. City were beaten 5-1 in North London last season, with Guardiola blaming a disastrous spell when his team fell apart. He hopes those collapses are behind his new-look side now, although they were criticised for turning victory into defeat at Brighton 3 weeks ago. The Blues boss knows consistency is the name of the game if they want to win another title. I know my team when it is consistent, he said. When you win 6 Premier Leagues, it is because you are a machine, the consistent team, and for that, you have to prove more. But of course, we arrive for the week against United, against Napoli, and now Arsenal. It is not an easy week. The feeling is important, the vibe of the team, and the body language especially. I am focused on that. The kindness of the team's body language has gone up. I am pretty pleased with that, and hopefully we can win or lose. Always try. And when you see the team is in a good vibe, that is what you have to try to do. City equalised at the Emirates after 55 minutes back in February, but conceded again immediately and fell apart, shipping 4 goals in the final 34 minutes. We were a lot of the time pretty good, considering how it was last season, but the last 15 to 20 minutes were a disaster, said Guardiola. We forgot to do what we had to do, and everyone did that, and after that it was easy for Arsenal. Hopefully, this season we can make a little bit more challenge because Mikel is an extraordinary manager, and they have increased the squad for this across 4 or 5 transfer windows. It is an unbelievable squad and an unbelievable team. It is one of the toughest opponents you can find now in Europe. We try to compete to be a better team than we were last season, especially in the last 20 to 25 minutes. The private Arsenal and Manchester City feuds that have fueled an angry rivalry. Manchester City take on Arsenal in the Premier League this weekend, and their rivalry is still driven by different views within the clubs. Manchester City's rivalry with Arsenal in recent years has been very public and not so pretty. From Erling Haaland barking at Mikel Arteta in the centre circle or bouncing the ball off Gabriel's head, to Miles Lewis-Skelly mocking the Norwegian in the reverse fixture, last season brought a continuation of a coming together between the two clubs that always contains plenty of fire. Haaland's comments, some afters from Bernardo Silva, as well as Kyle Walker, having to be dragged away from Arsenal and former City set-piece coach Nicolas Jova in recent seasons, have actually gone down well at the Emirates. For years on the pitch, there was no rivalry because City just swept Arsenal aside. Now at least the Gunners know they have got under the skin of the Blues. Pep Guardiola's comments will doubtless be welcomed in a similar manner after the City boss joked that should Arsenal win silverware under Arteta, it should be recognised as solely down to their heavy spending, given that is how success is deemed at the Etihad. I want to say to my friend Mikel Arteta, if he wins the title, it will be just because he spent, not because he worked a lot, or his players, he said. Behind the scenes, spending has divided the two clubs for far longer than Guardiola's decade at the club. It was Arsène Wenger who coined the phrase financial doping to slur City and Paris Saint-Germain, with after seeing several of his star players make the move from North London to East Manchester. For all the anger of an Emmanuel Adebayor knee slide, the boardroom loathing festered for much longer. Arsenal resented City for their new money after Sheikh Mansour's takeover, and City hated the hypocrisy of the Bank of England club from that moment. And things have hardly improved since. The Blues did not think much of the conduct of a club in 2019, who followed Mikel Arteta back to Manchester after City thumped Arsenal at the Emirates in order to tempt him away, while the Gunners were one of the clubs who wrote to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in 2020 to try and get City kicked out of the Champions League. Tim Lewis became Arsenal vice-chairman that year, and his leadership has seen Arsenal and City pitch themselves as even more at odds with each other. Coinciding with the teams becoming genuine title rivals, Lewis has been a fierce advocate for financial fair play in line with the thinking in American sports at a time when City have been charged with serious breaches of Premier League rules spanning more than a decade. On the other hand, City proved at a tribunal that associated party transaction rules rushed through by the Premier League and its members weren't fit for purpose, and in doing so opened the can of worms that shareholder loans were not fair market value. With Arsenal having more than £250 million of money that way, it could have had tough repercussions for the Gunners. A recent settlement with the Premier League defused that bomb, and the shock departure of Lewis announced this week may further reduce tensions in